Okay, Alderman Rhodey, I'm about to open it up to the public. Okay, Alderman Rhodey, I will unmute your mic, and Sharita, you can unmute your mic. You all are now ready to begin.
Okay, the HUD's committee will come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Boyd.
Present.
Alderwoman Davis.
Present.
Alderwoman Hubbard.
Present.
Alderman Kotar.
Here.
Alderwoman Spencer.
Present.
Alderman Oldenburg.
Present.
Alderwoman Boyd. Chairman Rhodey.
Present.
Alderwoman Boyd. 7 present, you have quorum.
Okay. I see Alderwoman Boyd name on the screen. Is the next item on our agenda is excused alder people. So I was, oh, it looks like she's trying to connect now.
Okay.
Oh. Alderwoman Boyd, are you present? Okay, well, Chair will accept a motion for excused alder person.
I move that we excuse the alder people that are not here today for necessary absence.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, we've excused the alder people. Approval of the minutes from the March 4th meeting.
I move to approve the minutes from the March 4th, 2020 HUD's committee meeting.
Second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Hearing no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing no opposition. We have no board bills for review today. Just before we get in today's business, no resolutions. Our only item is appointments, mayoral appointments. Before we get to that, I thought I'd try to share with you what to expect. We wanted to go ahead and have a practice, since I haven't done this before. We wanted to have a practice run at this. So we're just doing the appointments today. On June the 10th, we'll come back and we'll do the zoning bills. And on June the 10th, I expect that we will have a representative from SLDC to speak about one of the things that we did in HUD was the incentive reform. Here, I got everybody on this screen. I should move you over here so I'm looking at you when I'm talking to you. Here we go. One of the things that we did recently is our last couple of years we've been working on incentive reform. An outgrowth of that was an annual report that would provide us with an idea of how much incentives were provided, the level of incentive, the location, the project, and so forth. And so SLDC has been working on that, and they have a report for last year that that I've asked them to come over and share. It will give us an opportunity to review it, make some suggestions, and then hopefully that'll be an annual report so we can begin demonstrating how we've been hopefully using those more creatively and more strategically, and have been making some progress in the area. So that is so they'll be making the report on June 10. And we try to schedule these meetings a few weeks in advance because of notification requirements. I've been working with Mary, and I believe Mary Hart Burton from zoning, and I believe that she has coordinated the schedules, done the advertising and everything, so that we will be able to go ahead and have those zoning bills that are before the full board heard on 6/10. And then originally we were looking to hear the SLDC board bills on 6/17. However, I guess there was some slowness and they're running a little delayed in introducing them. So we've moved that back to 6/24. So we will have the those board bills will be heard on 6/24, and Dale Rusatz has coordinated the advertising to make that possible. And then our colleague from the 20th has requested that we hear back from the Federal Reserve regarding the just the economic climate, the impact on budgets and what's going on at the national economy. And Dr. Hollins has been gracious enough to coordinate that. We were originally going to have them on 6/17, but we don't want to have a special meeting just for a presentation. So that presentation will be on 6/24 prior to the board bills being heard then. So that's what we have going forward today, since it's just kind of us experimenting with this. First time in our committee. Appreciate the fact that the mayoral appointments have agreed to play our guinea pigs for us while we try to figure this out. And we have Mary Hart Burton. We are having this. I presume everybody understands that we've had a request from the full board to have these hearings and provide other board members the opportunity to visit with our appointees. So at this point, I think it's appropriate to put Mary on. Mary can talk about the qualifications of the appointees, and then we'll provide her an opportunity to introduce them. They can say something about, why don't we do both of them well, I guess we ought to do them one at a time, because we'll probably have to vote on them separately. So Mary, if you could give us some background, introduce one of them, we'll provide everybody an opportunity to ask any questions, and then we'll go do the exact same thing with the second appointee then.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. So today we're here to consider the reappointment of two of our alternate members to the Board of Adjustment. And just to recap qualifications and how the membership is made up. By city statute, the Board of Adjustment is made up of 5 permanent members or full-time members. One has to be a licensed realtor. The other has to be a licensed architect, and the other 3 are appointments at large, and all of them must be citizens that live in the city of St. Louis. The 5 permanent members are appointed for 4-year terms, and then in addition, the ordinance allows for us to have 3 alternate members. The alternate members are required to be residents of the city of St. Louis, but they can be appointments at large. They do not have to be an architect or a real estate agent, but we do have one that is a real estate agent. The alternates serve when one of our regular full-time members is either on vacation, or they might be sick, or might have a conflict. It is a volunteer position. They do get a minimal fee for each meeting, but I think everybody knows that they spend probably between 3 and 4 hours per meeting once a week with us. So today, with that said, we're considering the reappointment of 2 of our alternate members. The alternate members are only appointed for a 12-month period. And I'm going to introduce first to you, she is an alternate member with the board. She is also a licensed real estate agent. And she has served on the board since June of 2008.
Ms. Burke? Ms. Burke? Can we unmute Ms. Burke?
Okay, I had to unmute. I'm also a licensed real estate broker and a licensed mortgage loan officer. Had to get both those licenses in.
Ms. Burke, why don't you spend just a minute or two talking about your interest in serving on this board, and perhaps a little bit about your background, and we'll open it up to any of the committee members then.
Sure. My interest in serving on the board has been fascinating because I learned so much about our city. the people that work on that board are just extremely dedicated. I'm very impressed with them. My background is, like I said, real estate broker, real estate agent since 79 up to 90. And then from 90 to 93, I was a manager of the Gundaker office in the city. I'm very, very pro city. I've live and love the city forever. And then I became a mortgage loan officer. I really enjoyed getting people into homes, trying to get them the best interest rate and the best loan program. I went to the Urban League meeting not too long ago where I thought, I felt that there would be a lot more being done with HUD. That's why when this was a HUD meeting, I thought, oh, I'm all over this. To talk about the appraisal problems in North City, to talk about the credit reporting that is simply horrendous amount of mistakes made in credit reports. So I'm very real estate oriented, but as far as the city is concerned and the Board of Adjustment, it's just fascinating how well, it's like a well-oiled machine the way it runs. I'm very impressed with our city alderman, not our alderman, of course our alderman, but also the Board of Adjustment, sorry.
Well, thank you, Ms. Burke, for your willingness and to serve on this committee, our board, and we certainly appreciate your interest in our shared city. At this point, we'll go ahead, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to search online here for the seniority list. I know Alderman Boyd is next, is our most senior member on the board. Alderman Boyd, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you for your willingness to serve. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
I believe, forgive me if I'm going out of order here, I believe next is Alderwoman Davis as far as seniority. Alderwoman, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any questions. I'd like to just say that I enjoyed listening. When I see someone who is really going out of their way to learn and support the city, I appreciate it.
You're also welcome.
Alderwoman Hubbard, I believe you're next in seniority. Alderwoman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. And thank you, ma'am, for your willingness to serve. But I do have one question for, I guess, maybe Mary Hart Burton. You said that it was a minimal fee that they receive for serving on the board. Can you tell us what that fee is and year to date, how much the city has spent on those fees? And that's all I have.
Thank you. Yes, each board member receives $75 per meeting, and we typically meet once a week. I'm sorry, I cannot tell you the total amount. I don't have that, but I could certainly get that information for you.
Okay, thank you. I would appreciate it. We have that information. And I have
Sure.
no further questions.
I can chime in on that. For 2019, I think I served about 6 weeks as an alternate.
Okay, now I'm going to get fuzzy. Alderwoman Spencer, I believe you're next in seniority. Is that correct, or did I Google?
I'm not sure, but I have no questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I believe Alderman Kodar is after that. Alderman, do you have any questions?
No questions. Thank you to the nominees for their service. I know this board's a lot of work, even as an alternate, meets very regularly. Some difficult decisions are made. Thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
Alderman Oldenburg, do you have any questions?
I do not. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Burke, thank you for your service.
You're welcome, Tom.
Alderwoman Boyd, have you joined us yet? I keep seeing on my screen, it looks like Alderman Boyd's trying to connect with the audio, but it's.
Okay, can you hear me?
Oh, there she is.
There she is. Oh, she's having a problem. She has to unmute herself.
Alderwoman Boyd, can you Oh, there you are. It looks like you're unmuted now. I'm wondering what our legal obligations are if we have a member who's clearly trying to attend.
Oh, there she is.
There she is again. Maybe we can try to call her.
Okay, I'll call her.
Mr. Clerk, I have her number here on my phone if you'd like me to call her or.
Got it.
I'm calling her now.
Okay.
Alderwoman Boyd, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
He's unmuted.
Okay. Alderwoman Boyd, do you have any questions of her?
No questions.
Okay. If there are no other questions of Ms. Burke, the chair will entertain a motion. Oh, I'm sorry. We have to open it up. Are there other members on the call, other members of the board that would like to ask questions?
Right.
How do we find out if there's somebody else who wants to ask a question? Do they raise
there's
their
an
hand?
echo.
Is that it? I'm sorry, Mr. Clark, is there, how do we find if there's other members that want to ask questions?
I didn't hear you. What did you say?
If there's other members who have, other members of the board that have questions of the appointee?
They were sent an invite like all the other members of the committee.
Okay, but I see Alderwoman Tyus is on here, so.
I see that.
Okay, so is she unmuted at this point? Alderwoman Tyus, did you have some questions?
Where'd she go?
I don't see her anymore. She's gone.
Okay.
I think she's going to try to reconnect.
You're welcome to give my phone number out if other people have questions. I'm happy to answer.
But it was specifically Alderwoman Tyus who had asked for this.
She's coming back in now.
So I want to make sure we provide her that opportunity. Alderwoman Tyus, can you hear us? Okay. Alderwoman Tyus, the committee has just completed asking questions of Ms. Burke, and we're opening it up to non-committee members at this point. So if you have Ms. Burke is the first of the two appointees that we're considering today.
Good morning, I'm fine. So far there haven't been any questions, so you'll be the first. I do not know anything about it, but I'm sure if you requested it from Mary that you would get one. Okay. No. like I had just reported, I've been there maybe 6 times a year. So I am a temp, and I'm just trying to learn all the rules and regulations and retain them, but the board members help me a lot. That is correct, and the book they gave me is very thick, and it's, I haven't gotten through all of it yet with all the rules and regs. I think it's been 6 or 7 years now. It's all the ordinances that are required by the city. They gave me the book, so I just went on the assumption that I was supposed to do that. But when I'm in the meeting with them, if I come up with a question, they very, very nicely explain why I asked this and why this and that and the other. And I do ask questions because that's my process for learning. It is correct. I think the last time I was there, it changed from a lady to a gentleman, and I don't remember names. I'd have to look at my meeting agenda. I do. I go down to City Hall and I get sworn in. Yes, ma'am. That sounds very similar. Well, I'm assuming that book has a list of duties. I mean, I go there 5 to 6 times a year, willingly, and with open mind, as I listen to the constituents that come in to testify, the pros and cons of who's for and against it. I go to my board members and say, why can't they do that? And then they will explain to me the ordinances. I feel that my duty is to be there to honestly give my opinion on whatever's going on. I can remember asking about Lumiere. The Lumiere, when I first was there, the Lumiere advertisement on that highway, I thought was a very dangerous sign, and I didn't understand it. But it did get passed. It did get passed. Well, I wasn't there then, but I know that Lumiere brings enormous amount of taxes to the city of St. Louis, and we desperately need that. I don't think there's been one due to the sign as far as my knowledge. And give my opinion, and if my opinion is not go along with the ordinances, they explain to me why. Of course they should be. Well, it sounds like you're referring to a specific case, so I don't want to make any decision on that. I did not sit in on that. My opinion is yes. I would agree with that until they went in and applied to change the ordinances, whoever was applying for that. No, the attorney normally points out to me exactly where I was supposed to see that in the rules and regs. Absolutely, and I can't imagine the folks that I know on the Board of Adjustment wouldn't have the same attitude. It seems like there should be a higher floor that you could apply to. I have a question. When that transpired, did the neighbors come in and protest it? My question is, if you know that that's what was happening and you have evidence that these people are hired to come in, wouldn't that be presented to the Board of Adjustment as it happened? Okay, my thought pattern is, if you gave the Board of Adjustment the heads up that that's what you thought was going on, they would be questioning those people more thoroughly as they came up and testified. Okay. Well, it's perfectly okay.
Thank you, Alderwoman. I'm trying
And
to
here I
see.
thought I was home free. Sorry.
I see that the Alderwoman from the 26th is on the call. Does she have any questions? Alderwoman from the 26th.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No question.
Did you, I'm sorry, did you say no questions?
Yes, I said no questions. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Let's see, did I get everybody? I think that's it. Mary, or is it Madam Commissioner, I guess I should be a little more formal in our meetings. Madam Commissioner, do you would you care to introduce our next appointee, Mr. Albert?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our next consideration for reappointment is Mr. John Albert. And John has been first appointed on the board in December of 2008 and serves again as an alternate member in case one of the other members are not able to attend. And he does meet the qualification of being a resident of the city of St. Louis.
Mr. Albert, would you care to tell us a little bit about yourself and your interest in serving on the commission and your experiences on it?
Dre, could you help Mr. Albert unmute himself?
Hi, Mr. Albert. Welcome to the virtual Board of Aldermen.
Thank you.
Would you care to talk a little bit about yourself, your interest in serving on the committee, and then we'll open it up for questions?
Yes, Your Honor. I should be very brief. My purpose of wanting to serve on the board is to perform my civic duty, which I have been taught since grammar school, one citizens to do, and to make and aid my alderman and make St. Louis a better city for all citizens. That is it in total what my desires are and my reason for wanting to serve on the board. To perform my civic duty to make St. Louis a better place for all citizens.
Well, thank you, Mr. Albert, for your willingness to serve. I'm going to go ahead and open it up now for committee members. Alderman Boyd, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Albert.
Good morning, Alderman.
Good to see you. Mr. Albert is a long time resident of the 22nd.
Yes, I make you feelings, sir.
And I really appreciate your service, and anything I can do to further assist you, just let me know.
I know that.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Davis, any questions of Mr. Albert?
I don't have any questions of Mr. Albert. I do know that I've been before him numerous times in the last 13 years, and he has been very astute and concerned in his deliberations. So I do appreciate your service. Thank you.
Thank you, lady.
Alderwoman Hubbard.
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Alderman
Thank you
Kotar.
for your service, sir.
Thank you.
Alderman Kotar.
No questions, Chairman. Thank you for your service, Mr. Albert.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Spencer. I believe I received a message that, Alderwoman Spencer.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, what was the question?
We're Mr. Albert's entertaining any questions.
I have no questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just thank you for your service.
Alderman Oldenburg.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Alderwoman Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Albert. I appreciate you. I don't have any questions. I just want to say you said something that really stuck to me, and you said civic duty. And so I think a lot of people need to take that very seriously, and it seems that you have. So thank you so much for volunteering to do this again. Thank you.
Thank you
all. That completes our committee's members' questions. And Alderwoman Tyus, any questions?
Okay, how are you, Alderman? I think these three, I can't, my memory doesn't fail me there.
Mr. Albert has served since December of 2008, and the alternates serve for one-year terms.
Sure.
If we have a vacancy in one of our 5 permanent spots, we like to try to fill them with alternates because the alternates are, already familiar with the process and they've had experience serving on the board. But we also try to keep those permanent spots representative of the city. So sometimes we have to fill it with an outside person if we don't have, a nice balance across the city. Making sure, trying to spread it out throughout the city and not have like 3 members come from one particular area. We try to spread the membership out across all areas of the city. We have 2 members that live in the Central Corridor. We have 2 members that live on the north side of the city, and then we have 1 member that lives on the south side of the city. And then we have yes. Pardon? I don't have the exact years, but the members that we have serving as permanent members now, most of them have served for probably, I don't know, the one the most, probably 12 years, the one the least, probably maybe 8 years. And then we, a couple of those permanent members were at one time alternate members, and then they moved into permanent spots. 5. So the Board of Adjustment is under Chapter 26 in the revised statutes, which is the zoning code, and that is under the Department of Public Safety. So the office of the zoning administrator reports to the building commissioner, who reports to the director of public safety. Can you unmute Mr. Albert?
Okay, would you repeat that question, please, ma'am? Well, my duties is not separately, but is to prevent people from, for example, we had a person that came in and wanted to put a dog, something like a dog pound into one of the neighborhoods, and it caused all kind of problems in sanitation and stuff like that. That was the one thing that really stood out to me on one thing. And same thing that you have brought up concerning certain factors concerning service stations in the community. I'm kind of confused about that. I don't understand why people can come in and live in one neighborhood and bring things to a neighborhood to a lesser part of the population. So I'm interested in that thing, not that those people didn't have that right. We want them to exercise their right if they have the right to do that. But it has to be lawfully. It can not be done on the table. It has to be above board. It has to be done lawfully in accordance with the state, federal, and local laws. So that's my thing, the civic duty, not to fight, raise snake about things, but just to reasonably discuss the reasonability and the legality of certain actions, certain action of our opposition. That sums it up.
Thank you, Alderwoman. We have also present Alderwoman Clark. Hubbard, did you have any questions, Alderwoman?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Albert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No question.
Okay, no questions. Okay, I believe everyone present has had an opportunity to ask questions. If there are no other questions at this time, the clerk will, the chair will entertain a motion. I guess we need to do these one at a time to approve the mayor's appointment of Ms. Burke first.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the appointment of Ms. Sally Burke to the Board of Adjustment.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderwoman Hubbard,
Yeah, I just write my check or take my call.
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer,
Aye.
Alderman Oldenburg,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Alderwoman Boyd, can you?
Aye.
Rhodey,
Aye.
Alderwoman Hubbard, Alderman Kotar,
Aye.
7 aye votes.
By your vote, you've confirmed or reaffirmed the appointment of the mayor and with the recommendation to the full board. At this point, the chair will entertain a motion for the appointment of Mr. Albert.
Mr. Chairman, I move to appoint John Albert.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there a request for a previous role?
Previous request.
Hearing no objections, we'll consider Mr. Albert as passed out of committee as well. Thank you one and all for your attendance today. We want to particularly thank Ms. Burke and Mr. Albert for their service on our boards. Our next committee hearing will be on 6/10. We'll pick up zoning bills and we'll hear a representative of SLDC. If there's no other business, we'll consider, oh, we have the Alderwoman from the 20th, I think, has raised her hand.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I just have a simple question. The equitable growth framework that was sent out yesterday by SLDC, is this something that the HUD's committee will be considering?
Yes, I believe it was sent. I saw the email. I have not read it myself yet, but I believe that they are looking for comments to send back to the consultant with the idea of finalizing that here in the next couple of weeks. And
So
then when they do,
we'll be considering it here in one of the upcoming meetings.
yeah, I put Gerard. Is Gerard available? Gerard, can we put Gerard on for a second? Dr. Hollins?
I'm here, Alderman.
Dr. Hollins is more familiar with the actual requirements. Dr. Hollins, we had the Alderwoman from the 20th has asked, procedurally, I know that at some point they are supposed to appear before our committee. Is it to approve the plan or is it to provide an update on the implementation of the plan? I'm a little fuzzy on that.
It is to present the plan to the city. The report has to be presented to both HUDs as well as Ways and Means.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but just for clarifications, is that presenting, we don't approve it, they just present it, is that correct?
Well, you do, I believe you do, I think you do approve it.
Okay, Alderwoman from the 20th, I didn't mean to preempt your question.
Thank you. So Gerard, Dr. Hollins, both the Ways and Means and the HUD's committee approve it? Or
Correct.
Just, okay.
That is my understanding. I'll have to look at the ordinance. I know it's presented to those two committees. I'm not sure if it's actually approved and or just presented to.
Okay.
It goes to those two committees.
I appreciate it. I've had several members of the community over here reach out about it, and they wanted to be able to weigh in, and I want to make sure that if we can understand the public component, would be helpful too. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all I have.
All right.
Mr. Chairman.
Alderman from the 22nd.
Yes, you've been putting a lot of educational presentations before us, and I'm thinking that it's about time that St. Louis Partnership or St. Louis, whatever they're called, where the St. Louis City, St. Louis County are working together. We pay, half of the staff. Can they come before us before we go down in July, just kind of talk about what they've been doing for the city of St. Louis with the partnership?
Alderman, I will be glad to have them. Typically, I schedule meetings where we have speakers, where we actually have some formal action, where we're typically taking up board bills at this point. And previously, I'd ask if we ever wanted to have more than one speaker, and everybody kind of wasn't too enthused about that. So I would be glad to do it, but it would probably require a special meeting if you would like to have that.
Sure.
Is that the will of the committee? And can we I'll have to check if we can have a speaker like that without I was just trying to think if we needed to have a resolution to call. We should be able to just go ahead and schedule a meeting and have them in, I would think. So I will endeavor to do that before we go down. I'll have Dr. Hollins we've been discussing having them down at some point. So we'll restart those discussions.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to thank everyone for voting for me.
Thank you, Ms. Burke.
Okay.
If there is no other questions, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move for adjournment.
I'll second it. Previous roll, hearing no objections. Thanks everyone for attending today.
Thank you.